Welcome to Banta with Toni. Join me as I share stories about motherhood, faith, life, love, and everything else in between. I promise we'll also have some fun along the way, and I hope that the time we spend together will end up being some of the highlights of your week. Thank you for coming along. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Banta with Toni. I hope everybody is having a great week and that you're ready for a weekend of relaxation and to, get yourself in the mood to have some good self-care, do the things you love, spend time with people that you love and care for. So let's go ahead and jump right into today's episode. So a lot has been going on. There are certain events that I wanted to make sure to cover this time around. So just bear with me. I feel like the pop culture section today is going to be a little bit longer than usual. So the first thing is the Arise channel. I think I've shared it before that I like to watch their channel on YouTube. When I'm consuming any kind of like Nigerian news, it's usually from Arise. I just think they do a great job, presentation, the stories. You really get to see all sides of the stories. So I really like the way they put their things together. But they had Icon Awards and they were really honoring women in Nigeria who were like making moves. And I just thought it was such a beautiful event. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I saw different highlights of it. But from what I saw, it was very nice. Like, I think the segment that I watched, there were some women that were like anchors at Arise. And then there were some women on there that were like big names in business on different platforms like fashion designers or women in finance and business. So it was just a good event. And I think one of the things for me that kind of like stood out that made me realize because I think a few episodes ago we talked about the idea of feminism. Yeah, when somebody had asked me, oh, am I a feminist or something, or was trying to use that as a way to make a point to make me feel some kind of way. And I discussed, and I think I've talked about it too at length in other episodes, that I do consider myself a feminist, but at the same time, I honor and value our African culture. And I just wanted to say, when I was watching Arise News, and then I got to watch some other interviews, there was interviews by the former, Dr. Ngozi. I cannot remember her last name. I'm really bad. I feel like I say that every episode. I cannot remember this. I cannot remember that. But I promise you, I know these people, but it's just at the top of my head. I'm just I draw blanks because my brain apparently has only so much capacity. It is Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She was at one point a member of IMF from 2003 to 2006, and then from 2011 to 2015, she was the United Nations Secretary General. She's currently the Director General of the World Trade Organization, and she was also Finance Minister of Nigeria at one point. I'm sure you've probably heard of her. But there was an interview that she did, and she was just talking about, for women to even be considered for positions, for there to be true equity, that it takes having men on board and the role that the man plays. And that's one of the things I think when I was watching the different Nigerian dignitaries, the different Nigerian women that I watched I watched that Arise, the clips from the show, but then I watched different interviews that they also had up. And I think one of the things I like a lot about the African women is the fact that they understand that their success does not diminish, the roles that they play as mother. I think one of the things Dr. Ngozi brought up is that, the woman has a very unique place to play, because when she takes on these roles, when she says, hey, I want to go into politics or I want to do this and that, her family sometimes pays the price. And it takes you having the right partner, the right person by you that can be you know what? I understand that this is your purpose. I understand that this is what you have to do. And I'm going to hold things down on the home front. So I think all the women up there that got honored, for the most part, understanding that, they give the men their dues. And I think that was such a beautiful thing, understanding that, okay, we are the women that we are. We achieve all these things that we achieve, and understanding they could not do it without supportive partners at home. So I just thought that was a beautiful thing when I was watching that, is them understanding we live in a patriotic society. It is what it is. But at the same time, even as we are, as women, we're making strides, we're striving for these things, we're doing all of this, but acknowledging that, okay, it also takes you having a great partner to be able to accomplish these things. And I feel when I look at feminism over here, sometimes that's what gets lost in translation. Because I remember years ago, somebody was online, I was like, this Chimamanda that I listened to. just so you know, she's married with a husband and kid. And it's like, okay, she can be married with a husband and children, be an accomplished woman, and still be a feminist. You don't have to be one or the other. Like, you don't need to be a stay-at-home wife rubbing oil on your man's feet. And like, you can be both. You'll be just fine. And I think that's refreshing to see. But just understanding the society that they live in, and they're doing the best that they can, at the same time promoting that, you know, women are just as competent, women are just as able, but still honoring their African culture. Like, that's the essence of what I've been trying to say for like 55 minutes. But that's really it. And I think I don't see that often here. So it was good as I was watching the news on that side to get to hear that a woman is going to be accomplished and all these things. But at the same time, she's like, you know what, I'm able to do that because I have a supportive husband at home. I was running for office and I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have that because, you know, threats were made, allegations were made. My family was, you know, the target of this and that. So that was a beautiful thing. And other news, Miss Annie Idibia came back to the internet, and given everything that has transpired over the last couple months, I was happy to see her back on. And from what I could see, the video that I saw was of her and her daughter, and she seems to be happy and thriving. And of course, as happy as you can be when you're going through such a public divorce. So hopefully she's getting the help she needs, and she'll continue to get the help she needs. Because you know how life gets, like something happens to you, everybody rallies around you, but then everybody starts getting busy with their life. And I hope that in her time of, you know, getting the treatment that she needed and all that stuff, that the inner work can start for her, that she can kind of like look within herself and do the things that she has to do. Because I promise, like, whenever you do like the inner work, it shows on the outside. It shows on the way you even have relationships. And I think because she has been in this relationship for so long, and some of it has not been good and pleasant, and it's probably affected her self-image and all those things. Like, I hope she has a good therapist. You know, therapy is now a thing back home, so it's not far-fetched to say somebody's seeing a therapist. I hope she has a good therapist. She has, you know, friends that support her and all of that, and that she's not scared to like do the work to really work on herself. Like, this is the time for you to do the hard work, the heavy lifting, so you can emerge from it just a transformed woman. So I'm hoping that that happens for her. But she's looking good. She's looking good. And then I got on Threads one day and I was like, Marvin Sapp? Oh, Lord Jesus. I was like, Marvin Sapp? What the heck done happened? Oh, Lord. That man said, I'm going to need y'all to give $20. There are 4,000 of y'all here. And close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. You guys that are in the back behind me, y'all gonna give 40 or whatever. I think he doubled the amount or something like that. Oh my gosh. And then what made it worse was him going online defending the behavior, saying that, you know, it's nothing wrong with him chastising people. It's done all the time. Oh Lord, I love me some Marvin Sapp. I know I never would have made it. I love me some Marvin Sapp. But sir, good sir, I'm going to need you to sit down. I'm going to need you to sit down. Okay. So this is one thing. Like, when I was in Oklahoma, I went to Pastor Craig's church. What is it called? Life Church. I went to Life Church. And that was like one of the first churches that I had went to. Because before that, I would go to like a Baptist church. I had been to like some other places. And I had been to like a bunch of non-denominational churches. And then I went to Life Church. And I just remember Life Church was one of those places where when it was time to give, like one of the things that the pastor will say is, if anybody is in need, go into the bucket, reach for it and get some money out and take care of your need in that way. I was like, what kind of, what? Are we giving offering? Are we giving gifts? But that always stood out to me. And then there are other pastors that I listen to that they will tell you, like, we never actually have an offering time because we have already preached to our congregation as far as like, you know, tithing and giving and how important it is. And if you don't feel the conviction to do it, then I'm not going to be here forcing you to do it. And I've been to other churches where it's like, we're doing the raise fund for the children. We're doing the raise fund for the new building. Then we're doing the raise fund for the tin building. And then by the time you're done with church, they've had like 3-4 offerings. Okay. So I say all that to say, with the Marvin Sapp thing, like, I just, I wished he would have just probably not even said anything. I wish he would have just not said anything. Like, you already made the bad choice by saying close the doors, because then he tried to write an excuse of like, giving is one of the most dangerous times in the church. If you don't get your big, like, it is? Because all the churches I've been at, never in the middle of giving are we like, stay strapped up. This is some dangerous times. It's like, what? What are we talking about? Just say that you felt you were doing something that is a chronic thing of how sometimes some of our Black churches operate from. And you felt like the people had to do what it was that you were telling them to do. And you were not going to let them leave until they did what you were going to tell them to do. And then you have it under the umbrella of like, I'm speaking from the Spirit. I'm chastising you and I'm telling you what the Holy Spirit told me to tell you. Can God send messages to people? Yes. Is it done in such a rough... Is it done in such a rough way? I don't necessarily know about that. I was like, Jesus didn't tell you to close those doors. Stop playing, sir. Stop playing. Like, you already fell on the sword. It was already ripping you apart. Then you decided, I'm going to get up and fall on it again. No. The explanation pissed me off actually even more. I was like, what? If I were you, I just wouldn't have said anything. Like, you made a wrong choice of words. You did all of that. Like, even if there's a funding, because I think he said it's a conference, they wanted the ability to cover it. I understand there's the financial obligation. But it is tiring being on this end and I go somewhere and you're asking me for this offering and that offering and this offering and so and blah, blah, blah. Like, if other churches are able to exist that never actually even have an offering, if other churches are able to exist that actually tell their members, take what you need, why are some of you guys choosing to exist in a place where you're always antagonizing people, always using guilt, always trying to use psychological things? And Uncle Kirk took me out. That man put up a picture of him and Marvin Sapp and some other guys talking about either doors or open the doors or something like that. I was dead. I was deceased. I said, oh my gosh. But that's what you need. You needed your friend to make light of that moment because come on now. I'm just like, don't justify that. You were on a little power trip. That's what you were on. And then you made that statement. And in fact, you don't see anything wrong with it because that's the normal behavior. But why are certain churches the only ones that are always scrambling and begging and pleading and everything else? And then sometimes it almost seems like you expect the congregation to make up for poor money management. Like when you guys don't do what you're supposed to do with the money doesn't go where it's supposed to go. Or when you do get it, you're over here spending it on private jets or traveling here and there or doing this and that and the fourth. And then when you are running into a deficit or the hole, you expect the church members to come in and to save the day. But again, like, they will get so much further. I wish a whole lot of them will move away from it. You will get so much more even out of your members when you say, I don't want to force you to give. I want you to be convicted to give. And I will teach you what it is that the Bible says about giving. But I'm not going to be here asking you for first offering, second offering, offering for the peace table, offering for picnics, offering for over there. I'm not going to be doing that. And the church is always hard to change, man. They would be doing something the same way for 55, 45 years. And you come in, you want to do a little change. And that's not how we do it over here. Some of y'all need to let that offering go. You should be preaching enough. You should be doing enough things that your congregation is paying or taking care of business. And then you yourself as a pastor, I always found that concept very interesting to me where like a pastor will not have a job. Like I remember one of the African churches I went to when I first moved to Oklahoma, like my pastor was a professor. Like he has a job, but he's still a pastor. Like, so this idea like, oh, the church pays the whole salary and all of that, like depending on your level, if you're that big balling kind of church where it does take a lot of work, but even those churches, you see those pastors will come out with like their own books or they will have like tours or something. Like they have other means of creating revenue that's not just dependent on somebody opening up their checkbook every week. I feel like it's time for the church as a whole to revamp that. Like you're going to ask for offerings, maybe just one. And then when that time comes, show the people that you're actually more invested in them. Like this church that I'm talking about, I'm sure over the years he has gotten millions of dollars donated. And what does he say every Sunday? This is time for offering. But if you need something, take it. That does something for a person. It seems you guys sometimes play the game of psychology to trick people into doing what you want them to do anyways. Yeah, why don't you use this game of psychology that actually puts people at ease and then you still get to the same end goal, which is raising your money and getting all the things that you need. But, you know, when it comes to money and church, it's always been a very murky road. And I always feel like instances like this one does a lot to set people back. And especially when he does not have any like remorse over his words. Instead, he's doubling down and defending it. Just say it wasn't my best hour. It wasn't my proudest moment. I got caught up in the moment and I felt like I had a word that I was saying. And, I needed the people to hear it, to know the severity of it. However, what I did was wrong. Anybody that took offense, I apologize. Like, sometimes I feel like I need to be on somebody's PR team or something. I need to be a PR. Because what is going on? No. Mm-mm. So, yeah, that whole story, I was just like, oh, throw it in the bin. When I saw his response, definitely throw it in the bin. Like, no, sir. And oh my gosh. So when I had seen it on Threads and then I went and I looked for the video, then underneath that video, somebody said, never would have paid it. But because if you know the famous Marvin Sapp song, I was singing it in my head. I was like, never would have paid it. I was deceased. I was like, what? Oh my gosh. I was done after that. He didn't help himself there. So, you just got to speak the truth. Say what it is. Like, we love you. You have made timeless classics, but you slipped on that one and you needed to back up off of it. Yeah. Real quick. So next one is the Issa Rae story. So this is another Threads one. I was on Threads one fine mighty morning. And then I was like, I saw a post about, well, I don't understand what all the hate is for Issa Rae. Then I clicked on the Issa Rae blue part and then all the Issa Rae posts started coming up. And from the essence of what I gathered, the original woman who started this is funny actually, because when I looked her up, she actually teaches African American studies. So she's actually a professor. I'm guessing, yeah, I just said it, African American studies professor. So she said she was watching a recent movie. The recent one, I think that it was like Keke Palmer and Scissor were in. So she said, I was honestly watching the movie One of Them Days. Yeah, that's what it's called. One of Them Days. And it did not resonate with me as someone who was an unhoused, poor and working class 20-something-year-old person in LA. I said, hey, this is not like my experience. It doesn't surprise me because Issa Rae has struggled with telling working class stories and everyone has now turned me into being a hater and I just don't know. So she originally made this post because she was watching One of Them Days. I have not seen that movie, so I don't even know what exactly she's talking about. But she's saying that she has been unhoused because now we don't say homeless, we say unhoused. The lingo of 2025. I'm keeping you up to date. So she's saying at one point I was unhoused and in my 20s, and I just felt like when I was watching this show did not depict my life. And then the conversation evolved from her place, because this was what she had originally posted about the whole thing. But then the conversation evolved now to people then feeling like Issa Rae came from a middle-class family, her dad's African, and da-da-da-da, and she was here making a TV show centered around a life that she really didn't live, and yappa-yappa, boo-boo, shigga-bam-bam. So my question was, first of all, when did Black people become just ethnographers? Because you're saying they can only tell stories that they have lived or only what they are. But everybody else that's a creative in this space of media can tell whatever stories they can. I think just last week we were talking about what's really painting some people with the whole Meghan Markle thing is her ability to now tell her own story. So it's already hard enough for us to even see our stories being told. And now you're saying that if me, as a suburban woman, as a woman who grew up in the suburbs for most of her life and still lives in the suburbs, if there's a story out there to tell and it's about somebody that grew up in, I don't know, the project somewhere, that I should not have the ability to tell that, then who's going to tell that? How many of those people from the projects would there be that would be making a movie or getting that opportunity? It's crazy to me. I understand the fact that we have to be the ones to tell our stories. But then when we start creating boundaries for us not to tell our stories because of semantics and different things, that makes no sense to me. Because that's like me saying, okay, I have the story of an African to tell, but then since they're from North Africa, I really should not be the one to tell it. As long as I keep the story authentic, whenever I was watching Insecure, I never felt like any of her characters were not authentic. And then, two, she has a whole team of writers. So even if there's a story, there's a way of life that she has not lived, it doesn't mean the people who are on her team has not lived that. But it just seemed to me like people were just reaching that day. That's just what it felt like. It was very planted. It was given planted bot-ish because I just could not understand. I was like, this is a discourse? We're having this? About, oh, she grew up middle class and somehow then it turned into a classist story because it was the idea of people penalizing somebody for not fitting an image of Blackness that you have to challenge because it's the very same Black people that hold those views, right? Because in your head you're saying, oh, you're too bougie, you don't act Black enough. I have been a victim of somebody telling me I'm an Oreo, that I'm black on the outside and white on the inside. Oh, why? Because I choose to, well, not choose, but I just speak a certain way. I just do things a certain way. So why are we always the ones to perpetuate the hatred that has been sown in the seeds of slavery and everything else that this country represents? And then we embody that. It's crazy because even today, there was this girl, I'm trying to remember the name, but there's some big football player right now that the wife had called the cops, and he had like the baby in his hand. He moved to the balcony, came back. I think the wife called the cops, or the girl's mom called the cops. And the girl was on that Wags to Riches. I started watching that show. I'm telling you, sometimes with TV, I just want TV that's just, fluffy. I don't want anything I have to think through. So I started watching Wags and she was on there. But this guy had gotten like pulled over by the cops before, all these other things. So I don't know the whole situation. But I just remember like reading in the comments and people were saying to the effect of, well, that's what they get because, whenever they get a little bit of money, they'll mistreat and look over all these brown skinned girls and they always go for the girls that are racially ambiguous and that's what they get and da da da. And I'm like, it's a two-way street because most of the African American households are going to be single parent led by women. What a lot of these men are saying is that growing up, it was the same women, whether it was, aunties, mom, cousins, classmates, all these things that did not reaffirm them, that did not give them the sense of like they can go out and conquer the world, that really stripped them of the very basic things that they needed, that they then go into the world searching for it. So then when they find somebody that they feel like in order for me to have the life I want or deserve, I have to find somebody that does not resemble anything of where I came from the women around me. Like, when are we going to do the soul searching to say, okay, then that means that part of it is our problem and our story? Yes, there are those men out there. Whenever this stuff happens to the athletes, I'm always like, do y'all not learn any lessons? Like, do y'all not watch news? Y'all don't do 1 + 1, 2, I see a pattern. I mean, duck, duck, goose, nothing. Y'all don't do none of that because I'm not understanding. So I also know from that perspective, like I understand the frustration sometimes with these athletes, but I think we don't talk enough about the fact that there is a disservice that was done to them as they were being raised by the women in their lives who are supposed to represent that utmost thing for them. That when they do get to that stage, and if you feel like now they are anti-Black women or anti-this and that, then you have to ask yourself, you guys are the ones that raised them. So how did you raise them that brought them to be anti-Black? To say, okay, I don't want to be with anybody that looks like my mom. I don't want to be with anybody that looks like my sisters. I don't want to be with anybody that looks like the girls I went to school with because they tease me about my skin tone. This particular man that I'm talking about, he has a darker skin tone. And then so he married this woman. She seemed mixed to me, of anything, but maybe she is Hispanic or something. She just seemed mixed. And like I always say, like, you're not quite sure if I'm like, is she Black or is she the... So yeah, there's that. It's a pattern, like I've said in other episodes that we've seen as we live here in these parts of the world. It's a pattern that we're all aware of and we see it. So when are we going to ask the questions about what are we doing in our communities? What are we doing as a people that when these boys are coming up, that we create representations of Blackness for them that they just want to get away from? Because that's also part of the story. Because it cannot be every single time, oh, they self-hate themselves, da 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 da. I'm sure that exists too. But it's about the trauma points. It's about the things that would have been said and done to them that they have internalized, that they're like trying to stay away from. Like, let's hold ourselves a little bit more accountable in that area. So I just feel like that part is always just like the same old, like we've been here, done it before, we've heard it. And clearly they ain't getting it. So when somebody's not getting something, then sometimes the lesson has to be repeated over and over again, right? So if they're not understanding, then it's like, okay, well, you're going to go through the fire again until you get where you need to be. Okay. So that is that. Let's see. Our next topic. I thought like the Priscilla Ojo wedding was over and done with, but I saw new videos this week. So I guess maybe they're having like the Nigerian side. I guess what I had seen was Tanzania. I guess that was the Tanzanian side. So her wedding celebrations are not over with yet. Like they're still celebrating. And Inni, her best friend, has already claimed that he's the chief bridesmaid. So everybody that's orderly should report to themselves, but they should know themselves. Like, he's like, don't play with me. That's my best friend. Okay. So To thyself be true. Know where you are. Don't come here be fronting levels thinking that you can come and take my place, because it's not going to happen. There's no place for you to take. Let's see. What other things have I seen around over the last few days that I'm just like, it was a rough week for me. I didn't find a lot of funny videos here and there like I usually do. There are always like certain accounts I followed. And then like, it was so weird. I don't know what the heck is going on with the Instagram algorithm, but I went on Instagram today and I saw so many videos of like people in Dubai, people in Arabia. And of course, I love the fabulousness. Like, it'll be like these housewives. It's the most outrageous thing you ever seen in your life. You'll be like these housewives like pulling up in their G-Wagon like, I'm about to drop off my 4 kids to school. And then the kids are all like perfectly dressed and they're driving in their big car, and then they pull over and go for a massage and do it. I'm like, oh Lord. The fabulous soft life, the soft life. Okay. They're definitely softing over there. But somehow I was seeing more and more of those. And like I said before, I follow like some Dubai like interior design account. So I wonder if probably it was just related to that, because I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, I just keep seeing these everywhere. So going to our main topic today, it's going to be how to bounce back, real stories of resiliency. It was crazy because, like I said, I was having like a rough week, physically, mentally, just rough. And I remember having a conversation with somebody I love and care about. I was like, oh, I don't need anything else added to my plate. I'm like, I need God to remove my name from his Strongest Warriors program. You know, it's something that has been online. Like, you hear people talk about, like, he must have a Strong Warriors program, and my name must be on that list because I keep going through. And what this individual said to me was, well, then you don't want all the other stuff that comes with it. Because I was like, don't I? And, you know, one of the things she left me with was that, you know, remember that it builds your resiliency. And I know this. I always talk about when I know things, I know them, right? But in the middle or as I'm going through them, sometimes it's like, I don't want to hear that. But deep within myself, I knew she was right. So then we want to talk about resiliency and what has worked for me, that if somebody looking at me can be like, man, she's resilient, she's able to bounce back, or maybe they might not. But I feel like these things have worked. So hopefully you will hear something here today that you can implement, that you might be able to use. I wish we would do better check-ins, like just to see like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are there any things that's going on? Given the state of our economy, the state of the global markets and everything, and it's expected that you probably will have a 1 or 2 setbacks this year because, I mean, it is too much. So the idea is that as we're going through stuff, right, that it doesn't break us, that we don't lose our sense of self, that even in those dark moments, we'll find a way to find our light and let it be, you know, the compass that we use to navigate through life. And then indirectly, other people will see us living our good life and be able to emulate that. So really, bouncing back, that's where the power lies. That's what I've come to learn. Like, your ability, your resilience, all of that tells a story of, you know, just being able to overcome that speaks to a new level of existence. So that's the first thing, is understanding today that the resilient part of the story, overcoming setbacks, that is where your power lies. Okay. So I have had many defeated days and many defeated nights. Okay. I'm not new to this rodeo called life. So I have had many disappointments, many things that I thought would go A and go B, many things that I'm like, man, I'm reaching for it and grabbing for it, and then something else comes through. So I've definitely had a lot of setbacks in my life. But one of the things that has helped me overcome time and time again is my faith. I cannot even begin to tell enough of many a times when I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm going to do this, what is going to happen. And I might have my moments of like doubt or like, you know, screaming, yelling and pulling and whatever eventually. But I'll come around and then it'll be like, okay, time to get to work. Because it's like, no matter what, no matter what's going on, no matter what's falling apart, no matter what's going right, I have to keep going. So my faith helps me with that because it never fails. I will hear a message at the most opportune time, or as I'm reading a passage for myself, it will be encouraging. So if you haven't started that habit yet of having like a quiet time, having a devotional daily, incorporating it into your daily routine, I'm sure you see the benefits of it. But really, your faith is going to lead you through so many hard times, because what you end up finding is that you're not the first person to go through what you're going through. There's so many other people out there that have experienced it. And sometimes even in the biblical times, like not a dang thing has changed but your name. because you're now the one going through it. But then you can look at the stories. Okay, how did this person overcome? What did they do? Okay, and then I'm creating my own version of it. So my faith has really helped to direct me during those times. Having a sense of community, having people that you can trust, that no matter what, they're gonna be in your corner, have your back. They help to give you the bounce back spirit and do all that for you. And then self-reflection. Self-reflection is so important. My ability to sit down with myself in my quiet moments, in the moments I'm not too proud of, but to say, you know what, I did this or I did that, it didn't pan out for me, but what am I going to do now? Like, as you're having that inner dialogue, inner conversation, that's beneficial for you too as well. But having that self-reflection helps you to see, okay, where are the parts that I could have done better? What are the choices I made? And then what am I going to learn for the next time? And then that helps to kind of frame you to then just keep on going, because it's like, okay, next time I'm going to do this better. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So giving yourself that room. So faith, community, and self-reflection. So always remembering, like, if it doesn't break you, it builds you. However, that's saying in itself, like, if it doesn't break you, it's building you. But sometimes you already feel like you're broken into pieces, right? Like when you're going through a rough patches in life, sometimes you're like, it's already done for me and over with. But understanding that you were meant for it. You were chosen for some reason. There's something that you bring. There's something that you have. And you might not know it yet. Maybe God has not revealed it to you yet. But it's like, if you stop, you will never know. So you're going to keep showing up. You're going to keep being who you are. You're going to keep striving. You're going to keep taking those steps. And giving up is just not an option. Like, changing that way is just not an option. So the next part for resiliency, you can just think about all the different stories you've heard. Like the other day when all the med school students were posting matching and all that, I had seen a post. There was a mother and a daughter. She was a nurse, and her daughter got accepted into medical school. So they will be studying together. But I bet you that mother as a CEO, that's one of the things I kept thinking about. That mother that was RN going to now be an MD. I'm like, I bet you she has stories to tell. You hear the stories all the time of like somebody that was like a teenage mom, worked her way through school, became something, did something great. So resiliency, there are stories all around. I think it's important to ask stories in your family, because sometimes your family becomes that source of resiliency for you too. Like hearing that your great grandfather invented something, came up with something, did something, that spikes like something within your brain that you're just like, oh, well, if they can do it and they have the same blood running through them that I do, then I can do it as well. So knowing the stories of your ancestors, sometimes that can help power you through when you're having those moments of self-doubt, or when you're having, just that worry that you're not going to be able to accomplish something. So the next part is just, understanding that it's okay to fall, but it's not okay for us to stay there. So like, for example, in my podcasting, ever since I started doing it by myself, I feel like I've had a lot of mishaps. I feel like the things that I anticipated I was going to happen did not happen. How I anticipated I was going to move, it did not happen that way. And there are lots of parts of it that it's like, I just have to take it for what it is today. And it took me a while to get there. But understanding that I've fallen before, I'm going to fail again in some other areas, because you're never an expert in anything. So even if I feel like I've mastered one area, there'll be other areas that I need work in, but I won't stay there. If I fall, I stumble my toe, I cry. Like, this is the kind of person I am. I will have the resistance. I will say, I don't want to do it. I pick somebody else, not for me, not my cup of tea, all these things. But then I will still keep pushing. Like, I'm going to have my moments, I guess, as the young people say, of crashing out. But I'm still going to keep pushing. Why? Because there's something there. And I've talked about the community, knowing that you're not alone, knowing that God does not waste time on you. There's a reason, there's a purpose for everything. And when you don't see it in that your bleak moment, just trust it, right? So again, your faith is going to come into play, because it's like, He will never leave you nor forsake you. Like, there's no mountain, nothing left that unturned. Nothing can separate you from the love of God. So many different things that you can pull at from your faith that can help you to see, okay, I'm going to stay put. I'm going to stay grinding. I'm going to keep going. And then eventually that which is meant for me is going to come to me. But you have to keep working for you to get there. So faith, knowing that it's okay, being in acceptance. So that means spending quality time with the Word of God and spending quality time talking to your loved ones, learning stories about your ancestors, because you'll be amazed at how much that can help to motivate you and shape you, and the ability to even sometimes like have, some form of connection to them helps in a lot of ways. So let's see. Is there anything, my prompt to you, is there anything that you're bouncing back from? And if you would like to share, if you would like to leave a voice message, you can go ahead and do that if you're listening from Spotify. If you're listening from another avenue, I don't know how you'll be able to leave me a message, but let me know, what are you bouncing back from? It can be anything. It can be, from being sick, from, a bad divorce, from, making the wrong choices, from my kid giving me, many heart attacks and headaches. What are you bouncing back from? So message me your stories, big or small, whatever you're comfortable with, however you want to post it. I will see it. Just make sure you use the correct hashtag. So there's Toni Speaks, there's Banta with Toni. So make sure if you're going to do that you tag me so I'll be able to see it. But I want to know, what are people going through? What are they struggling with? Where is the disconnect? Where is the unbelief sometimes? And then how are we going to get over it and overcome it? So I leave you with this scripture that says, Proverbs 24:16. Though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. Like, that just sums up everything I was saying about your faith. Studying the Word of God, there's something that it does to you, puts you in a good state and a good mindset, and then it leads you. It really leads you. You look at any situation that somebody else might have called dead, and you're able to speak life into it. Why? Because of faith. So it is so important for it to dictate how you move in this world. Today's episode, the talking part was pretty short. I just wanted to keep it short. I know the last few episodes have been kind of longer, and the research does show that when the shows are shorter, there's better engagement, there's better interactions. So I'm going to end it there for today. My song of the day, the first one for my gospel song, is going to be this new song that I've heard that is, what's his name now? Why is it escaping me? This new song that I heard from Moses Bliss and Chandler Moore, and it is beautiful. I will give you the name of it. It is Your Love. So it's Moses Bliss and Chandler Moore. Beautiful, beautiful song. I want to give a shout out to Chandler Moore. I feel like Chandler Moore is another level, because I think right now he's going to Zimbabwe, he's going to Zambia. So his Omema, because that was the big song by him that we all love. It's called the Omema Tour, and he's going to all these different African nations. And, I just always felt like he was like the Chris Brown of gospel music, or in this case, he's the Chandler Moore of gospel music. We're not going to compare him to anybody else. He is who he is, okay? But I just love the fact that he started just collaborating with African gospel artists. Like, I remember one of the very first times I heard his voice, it was with Nathaniel Bassey's song. It's an old Nathaniel Bassey worship song. But when I heard his voice, I was like, who the heck is this? And why does his voice sound so raw and intimate? And he has such a beautiful gift. And it comes through every single time. So I love the fact that he has always acknowledged the fact that he wouldn't even be where he is today without the support of the African people. And it seems like when he goes off, when he's on tour and all these things, he really tries to give people a good benefit and really tries to give them a good run for their money. I mean, make them get their money's worth. But the fact that he's even going on tour and promoting it in all these different African cities, like, he's going to be good for a long time. He's going to have the support of the African people for a very, very long time. But that was just refreshing to see. I feel like his connections, all of the people that he's worked with, all of the African artists, it seems to have been very genuine. And then that comes off in obviously how he's then able to kind of piece things together. For my regular song of the day, I added All the Love by Ira Star. All the love. Yeah, it's a very, very beautiful song. I heard it like once before, but it was like with the video, and I was like, what the heck is this video? But I think it's around the time that it was released. And then now when I came back to it, I'm like, yes, I still like this song. I'm still rocking with this song. So I'm going ahead and added it to the playlist, because that's how we move over here. We don't know about them over. Wait, how can I rhyme over here with over there? No. I'm tired. All right. I'm not reading anything right now because remember what I said last week? I am trying to find me a good Sierra Leonean history book so I can know my political history. So I am still working on that, and I didn't feel like starting any new novels. I didn't feel like doing anything like that. I just wanted to just exist. So the reading girl has taken a break, but it won't be for too long. I'll have a new title for you to join me with. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Please, please, please share it with a friend, family member. Help me get the word out there about this podcast, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Stay fly, stay smart. You got this, and you're resilient. It's in your blood. It's in your bones. It's in every single thing that you do. Anything that is formed against you to make sure you don't prosper, it will not work. You are a child of God. He has laid his hands on you. He has put his foot forward you. He went to places for you before you even knew that this is what you want. And just know that God's got you. No matter what you're going through, you have the strength, you have the ability. Sometimes you might not even feel it within yourself, but he is great. He has the ability. He has the strength. And when you're connected to him, you cannot fail, baby girl. So go through your rough patch, cry your tears, be mad, be this and that. And then the next day you get up and keep it moving. I just want to thank you guys so much for giving me your lending ears, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye now.
You just finished an episode of Banta with Toni. Did you like it? I hope you had a great time and that you have some takeaways from this episode. But before you go, I want to ask you one thing. And that is to share this episode or this entire podcast with a friend, family member, or acquaintance. Because remember, when you have something good, you need to talk about it. You need to share it and you need to shout it from the rooftops. So go on and let people know in your life that you have this wonderful podcast that you would like to share with them. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, your support, and everything else in between. And remember, if you do it, I have to talk about it. Have a great week.